let's get into the last question of today, and it is submitted by Eilito Babies, who says women's wrestling is better than men's wrestling right now, both AEW and WWE. A very big take to have, especially considering women's wrestling gets what? 15, maybe 20% of the time in AEW, whereas in WWE, it's like 20 to 30% in both promotions. They're not getting like nearly 50% of the time. But is it better than the men's, even taking that into account, Ant?
Oh, it's definitely worth taking into the account, because I think with the women's wrestling right now, it's quality over quantity. And that's what they're giving us. WWE WrestlePalooza was saved by one match and one match only. One match put them over a C- rating to a C+ rating, and that was Io and Stephanie. Beautiful match. Those two women worked really well together. The women matches on AEW All Out were amazing, right? They showcased a lot of women, and we get the Women's Revolution, and the Women's Revolution was the best WWE PLE of the year. So it's not hard to say that the women's wrestling is better than the men right now, but I think you also got to take that with a grain of salt. Over, they're showcasing the best women matches all the time, right? We're not getting mid-card or mid-level women matches, because when the women go out, they know they may only get one. They know they have to perform to the best of their ability in order to get one on the next one. It's sad, but it's true. But they continue to work and they continue to shine. If you really love women's wrestling and you want to watch a show to where the women get about 60% of the time, watch NXT. Sean and NXT are always showcasing the women down there. Simply put.
You're bang on with that. And I do agree, of course. It is always the best of the women have to offer, because they have to do the best with the little time they are given. But at the same time, I'm going to look at it slightly differently here, because on every show now, from AEW to WWE, there's so many women's wrestlers who I look at and I'm like, they are so talented every time they get the chance. And yet they're not being given the chance much. So I honestly reckon if it was 50-50 right this minute, women's wrestling would still be miles ahead of men's wrestling. And that leads me to the question, why on earth do women not have 50% of the time when they are proving they can be as entertaining, if not more entertaining, than the men? I don't understand it, Des, at all.
I hate to say it, but it's more so for the casual viewer, right? Casual viewer, they're going to look at it and see Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, John Cena, CM Punk, Randy Orton, who are all good wrestlers. But we're the people that watch like every show, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Collision, NXT, whole 9 yards. We watch it like weekly, so we know like who the best are. I think that's the reason why the women will get as much time. But with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, right? Stephanie Vaquera, she recently just won. Liv Morgan, adding those big names to the casual eye will give them more TV time. My honest opinion, take the casual take out of it, I agree. The women should have way more time. To be honest with you, I think the women's wrestling in WWE is better than the men's. Now for AEW, I would say that for the entire portion of the year, but since Hangman has been AEW champion, I've loved his main event matches. And that's nothing to take away from the women. I just think his matches are subpar. They're elite. But the women's division in AEW, they have Tony, they have Mercedes. Now that Chris is in the discussion, my biggest thing with them was it's Tony and it's Mercedes, right? And everybody else, they're just here. With Chris being champion, maybe we can start elevating big names. Chris, Willow, Thekla, right? You have Marina, you have... I don't know the train of thought, but you have a lot of big names there. And then for the WWE women's side, another thing that you wanted to add, Evolution was the best PLE this year. And guess what? It was probably the cheapest event to attend. That says something, because exactly what you said, right now it is quality over quantity, and we're seeing that in real time.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And you mentioned there about, of course, women's wrestlers, they aren't necessarily as big of stars as men's are in the mainstream. apart from one person specifically, and that one person you also did briefly name, Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
She is arguably a bigger star than anybody WWE has full time right now, right?
Oh,
John
yes, of
Cena's
course.
obviously bigger, Brock Lesnar's bigger, but Rhea Ripley, in terms of full time stars, I mean, you've got Drake on podcasts just talking about her, and she's not even being brought up. He's bringing her up. And yes, obviously, I think he's shooting his shot to a degree, but even still, that shows how popular she is.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree. I'm with you. I agree.
Here's a hot take for you.
Okay.
If you really want to elevate women's wrestling and you want to have a true forbidden door, do the women of AEW versus the women of WWE. And that would sell out more tickets than I think any PLE that could happen just on a regular basis. If you did, could you imagine Nia Jax versus Willow Nightingale? Could you imagine a fatal four-way with the four horsewomen of wrestling? Like just that happening right now. It would be so beautiful. Chris Statlander versus Stephanie Vaquer. I mean, just the matches you could throw out there. Not even just throw out, but the matches you could put together from a forbidden door like that. And if AEW and WWE ever wants to get the ball rolling and just blow everything out the water, that's where you start. You start with the women. You let them put on just an amazing show. Yeah, shoot, dog. You make it free. You make it free on like a Saturday night main event. Do you know? I mean, think about it. Do you know how many eyes would be on that? Like, I really think about how many eyes would be on that one show. Tony Storm versus Rhea Ripley. Oh, can you imagine the promos from that? You know,
I actually saw that match happen in NXT UK.
Well, yes, but they weren't who they are now.
True.
Tony Storm laying on the mat, just telling Rhea to come pin her. You know, like that stuff that could just happen. That would be beautiful. I think if anybody from the creative of either shows watch this and you really just want to put an end to all the tribalism, start there. Do a women's forbidden door. Bring New Japan in. Bring Triple I in. You know, make it a 13 match card. AEW likes doing that anyway. It would be beautiful. It would be beautiful.
It would be, and Ben Corbett says we can dream, and absolutely, it is a dream event, that's for sure. I can't see it happening, but it would be fantastic. Donnie says right now there are more mid-card women / upper mid-card women than ever before, but very few that can demonstrate star-level character and the ability to connect with a wider audience. I'm going to disagree with you there on that right now, Donnie, right? Because if you consider the amount of time those mid-card women get compared to the men's mid-card stars, when it's an actual fair comparison, I think the women do it just as well. I think the only difference is those mid-card stars aren't given as much TV time compared to the men's division stars, and that is why at the end of the day. But I do agree with you here. There's not going to be a forbidden door between WWE and AEW at all. But Tony and Rhea do have matching tattoos.
They do. This is true.
They do.
So perhaps we got Melly Rods 39 saying hi and over on Instagram, and Ben Corbett asks, do you think WWE should start doing more mixed matches following that Punk, Lee, Rollins and Lynch match? Will that push more women's involvement? What do you think about that, Des?
I'd say yeah, but honestly, I don't know. Like mixed tag matches, like they're fine and they're fun, but I feel like with women's wrestling, I want to get a story where I can really sink my teeth in. You know what I mean? Like when Becky, Lyra, Bayley had the story, Becky, AJ have the story. You got a story going on with Rhea, Asuka, Kairi, and Io Sky right now. Like those are the type of stories that I really want to see more of my wrestling. But I totally understand, right? The mixed match classic they had back in a few years back. It was a lot of fun. There was really no story. Actually, it kind of was a bit of a story, but not really. It was a lot of fun. So if they want to bring that back, sure, it could get them on TV, definitely.
I'm going to be honest. I liked the match the other day, but I, in general, hate mixed tag team wrestling, especially in WWE, purely because I think it just limits so much of what you can do when you have to do the tag. The other person has to come in from the other side. You can't do hot tags. You can't do stuff like that, really. It's very, very limited. But what's your thoughts, Ant?
No, man. I think Rhea and Asuka I think this feud could be generational if they bill it right. If they start working it, if they reintroduce Asuka as the NXT Asuka. Because Rhea is the most posterizing woman figure that we've ever seen. China was amazing, but Rhea is known everywhere. Like, there are people who have never watched a wrestling match who know who Rhea Ripley is, which is crazy. When they did the ESPN show, like, she got the biggest pop out of not ESPN, the Netflix, when they did that first Netflix show. She got huge pop. Shout out Huge Pop, Donnie DeSilva.
Absolutely.
But no, man, it was just super fun. Happy belated birthday, Donnie.
Absolutely, yeah. Happy birthday yesterday
man.
to Donnie there as well. And he's got a comment here, and I think this actually is a good one as well. The problem with mixed tags is unless you add a mixed tag belt, like in Mexico, the story is kind of some emotional one. And that is true. Again, it limits the story. Perhaps, just perhaps, adding a title could be the solution to that. It would at least add some stakes. But even still, there's only so many formulas you can really do with a mixed tag team match because of the format of it, unless you make it that the women can attack the men and vice versa. But obviously in WWE, that is not going to happen because sponsors would flip.
Yes. True.
But you never know, maybe one day. D6 Warlord. R-Truth is still the only person who never entered the Royal Rumble after he won the Mixed Match Challenge with Carmella, and he never got eliminated. So technically, he should have main evented WrestleMania